At Direct Service Overhead, we know how much trust you put in the individuals who have the privilege of working on the components of your home. We understand that a broken garage door is the last thing you want to be worried about, and most of the time, doors break at the most inconvenient times. Our professionally trained technicians service 24 hours a day, and our high-cycle parts are guaranteed to make a noticeable impact on your garage door without putting a damper on your wallet. If you're looking for need of assistance maintaining your current garage door, our team has the experience and expertise to deliver the results you deserve. Give Direct Service Overhead a call today or visit us online to learn more.
All right. Oh, goodness. All right, 3, 2, 1. Yo, what's going on, Arkansas Razorback fans, SEC fans everywhere? Welcome, of course, to the Pig Trail Network YouTube channel. I am a very hot and flustered Ty Hudson. You're the hosted creator of the PTN here at the Pig Trail Network. Do me a favor, if you guys would, share the content. Subscribe if you haven't already, if you're new here. For those of you who are watching, maybe you just clicked the link, but you don't have a YouTube account. It'd be great if you go in, create a YouTube account, and subscribe. That'd be great. That'd be wonderful. I'm wearing a Lucky shirt. Didn't even realize that's the shirt that I switched into. I thought it was my Boston Celtics shirt. I don't know if, maybe it didn't kick into the second half, but Arkansas was not lucky in the first half. I've got a lot to say. I've got a lot to say about what we just saw. So again, do me a favor, please like the stream. I thought I had my glasses. Did I take them off? My sunglasses. You can't forget the shades. Oh, those look so fresh and so clean. Unlike the Razorbacks on offense throughout about 70% of this football game. Yeah, share the content. That's a big one. And when you guys do that, do me a favor. Feel free to tag me in your post on social media. Send the copy and paste the link to a pal, to friends, family. Hey, go subscribe to this guy. He's an independent Razorback, influencer, media guy, whatever. Go support him. But I do appreciate those of you who are here. Shout out again to our sponsor, Of course, you guys saw the ad there at the beginning, but here's direct service overhead. Shout out to them for their support. This is our second live stream where they're here. They're a part of what we're doing here at the PTN. I always say I'm a one-man band. I'm like the guy with I've got the guitar, but I've also got like the drum set attached to each like nipple. I've got I've got the little foot thing like the Terry Crews Old Spice commercial where he's flexing his muscles, except I don't have muscles, so I'm just like trying to play all these instruments. I'm doing it all on my own. So it's always a blast, but I enjoy doing this. Okay. First half, we'll just get right into it. It was an absolute shit show. I'm not censored here. I don't have to bow down to any anyone to tell me what I can and can't say here, other than YouTube. Let's not kid ourselves. I do agree officials were, again, there were some questionable calls. All right, I'm not gonna argue with anybody. I'm not dying on that hill. Okay? Not dying on that hill. That third down PI call on Arkansas there inside the 10-yard line against Arkansas was absolute BS, and we all know it. It was terrible. I don't know how else a corner or defensive back, anybody, I don't know how else you're supposed to defend that throw. His arm wasn't wrapped around the body. There slight contact, but there's always slight contact. If his hand is obviously wrapped around, if he's holding down an arm, that's PI. That was just slight body contact, and I think you could hear the announcers. They were questioning the call. The targeting calls, I don't even know where to begin with those. I don't know what the hell else these guys are supposed to do on defense. I hate trying to break down the science of it. I didn't play defense in high school. I played offense. I was a center. But I will tell you, the limited amount of time I played defense at junior high, at Ramey Junior High in Fayetteville, I know that sometimes the guy with the ball is going to crouch down and it's going to be a reactionary move for you to try and absorb the blast, and sometimes instinctively you lower your head. Was that a targeting on bumper? I guess according to the rules it was. I guess. I don't like, even if you agree that it was targeting on both of those, if the Morgan and bumper pull target, okay, all right, let's say you think that should stand. What shouldn't stand is being suspended for the entire game. And if you do it in the second half, then you can't play in the first half of the next game. So Arkansas is going to be without bumper pull in the first half against Texas. You saw how important bumper pull was. By the way, shout out to a guy I've been bragging on all fall camp, Mr. Hayden Henry. That guy was lowering the damn boom. Of course, Catalon needs no introduction. My man was slamming them and jamming them, taking the ball out of the air with the picks. I love it. I love what you see out of Catalon. Oh my gosh, this defense is just so much better with him out on the field. But it's even better when you have bumper pull and Morgan on the field. I don't know that we're going to get to see that. All three of those guys, when they're in on as many plays as they're in on defense, especially when your offense is doing whatever the hell they were doing throughout the first 3 quarters of this ball game, your defense is on the field that much more. I don't know how often we're going to get to see these guys all play together as a damn unit if they're getting called for these bullshit targeting calls. The officiating today was atrocious. And I'll even admit that some of the calls, a couple of the calls on Rice, I was like, what? Okay. Maybe 1 or 2 at least. But Arkansas, there were several that were just head scratchers, especially that PI call. But that's not why this was a crap show in the first half. It was a crap show because Arkansas's offense was lost. KJ Jefferson was nowhere to be found outside of a really good run. The RPO today was so ineffective. He was ineffective as a passer. And even at times in the second half when it looked like he was getting his stuff together, he still wasn't very accurate. At one point, when a receiver has to twist his body around to make the play, that's on the quarterback because that's ball placement. A receiver should not have to, and thank God that he did. Who was that? Was that Katron Jackson or Devion Warren? I forgot who it was. When the receiver has to adjust his body behind him, his waist, when his momentum is trying to carry him forward, but he's turning around to have to make that play, now it's killed his momentum and he can't do anything with it. It prevents him from getting yards after catch. KJ has got a lot to cleaning up to do. I know I picked them 8 and 4. I'm not going to get it. I'll give you my confidence in that pick, not real high. I'm pissed at what I saw in the first half. That was just, even if you want to chalk it up to rust, it carried into the third quarter. They didn't really start to get their act together till about halfway through the third quarter, maybe about the 10-minute mark or so. The holding call on Katron Jackson, I don't know. That's a tough call because here, I'll tell you, and I know the rules might be different from 20 years ago. What I was taught as a blocker, okay, this was back then, it wasn't 7A, it was 5A football in Arkansas. You're taught anything outside the shoulders is a hold. Now, we were taught to hold, but to be clever about it, and you do it by this right here. You grab the inside. You grab the inside. As long as you're not moving them around too much, you're going to get away with that about 75% of the time. Now, that was 20 years ago. That was high school. I know this is big boy college SEC football. I'm just telling you that rule seems to be pretty much the basis and the foundation from high school all the way up through the pros. The further out you go, if you grab a hold, you're getting called. To me, it looked like he was holding him. Now, I haven't seen it. I'm going to be honest. My neighbor and I were in the backyard on our Fable. We're watching it on a not a super big TV, nice TV, but not a super big TV. A little, not the highest definition. I mean, but then again, shout out to Alex for everything that he did. He goes all out. My neighbor Alex, he's awesome. I'm going to tell you guys right now, he goes all out. We had wings. It was scrum-diddly-umptious. But it looked to me like a hold. It did. It looked like a hold because he clearly you could see he had a hold of the jersey on the outside pads. We can agree to disagree for those of you. It looked like it to me. I'll go back and see if I can catch it and watch it. Maybe I'll come to a different conclusion, or maybe I won't even give a shit and move on because it is what it is and you won the ball game. But you look, and I've seen guys do it all the time. You see them in the pros. You could grab the inside of that pad. You can grab the inside of the shoulder pads. You can even do this right here. You see I got a piece of the jersey? As long as you're not moving them around too much where it's obvious you've got a piece of the jersey, you can get away with that. Receivers get away with it all the time. But the further out you go to the pad and you grab a hold, you're getting called. Now, it's a little bit different, too, when, like, the corner turns and you've got a hold of the jersey and then he turns, then it's up to the official. But to me, at first glance, it looked like a hold. I didn't get a good shot of the replay when they showed it. But anyways, I don't care about that. What I care about is what we saw in the first half. The penalties, guys, I'm not going to lie to you. For 3 quarters, that was Chad Morris football. I don't care. Come at me with whatever you got. Get angry with me in the DMs. That was the horrible, horrible product on the field. The offense had no rhythm. Gaps weren't opening up too often. We had a couple of good gaps to run through there. We got a couple of good runs there from Treylon. Later in the game, it got a little bit better, but you could tell Rice just doesn't have the ponies, right? They don't have the horses in the stable to keep up. They were clearly gassed in the especially in the fourth quarter. They were done. They were checked out, and I knew at that point, okay, Arkansas is going to spread it on, and they're going to pull away and get the win. It is a good look. You won. You didn't. It's not like this was a 20-17 game. You won. You got the gap. Remember, I picked 44-17. I wasn't that far off. If Arkansas had gotten out of their own way in the first half, had there been some kind of, I don't know, something, if these guys were in sync just a little bit more in the first half, clean up some of those mistakes, you hang 45 on these guys easy and maybe only give up 10, 13 points. But because of all these things that I just mentioned, it was just ugly. I do not feel comfortable about my 8-4 prediction. Look, sometimes we do that. We drink the Kool-Aid, and that's fine. I also told you guys I don't mind being wrong. I've been wrong on my predictions every year. I think the last time I was close was the first year I started doing this. You just, especially coming out of a COVID year, you just don't really know what 2020 really was because of COVID. But didn't see as many vertical routes. Burks plays, and you think, oh boy, this is going to be a difference maker. Burks clearly to me was not Burks was clearly not 100%. I mean, he had – how many drops these receivers have? I counted 3. I read online someone had counted 4, maybe 5 drops. It was bad. Okay, now for those of you who say it's first game of the year, blah, 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 Rice was better than we thought. Okay, I'll give you Rice might be better than we thought. But there's no doubt that Arkansas was in their own way in the first – especially those first 2 quarters. They were in their own way. The good news is you can clean those up. You can, but I feel like a broken record, like I've said that before 100 times. And last year, we just never really saw the offense click. To me, this just looked like more of the same. This looked like more of the same from a year ago on offense. Now Rice ran out of gas. And Arkansas was able to add on to the lead. Now, there is good news. I love Tyson Morris stepping up. I love watching him step up. Kern had a nice little catch over there. Burks started to get in rhythm a little bit, with KJ. KJ in the second half turned it up. I mean, he did not let that first half kill him, right? He didn't let it keep up with him the whole game. He got out in front of it, played much better in the second half, without a doubt. But it was very sloppy, not good football. It just wasn't. And for people who are like, again, it's game one, Ty, you're overreacting. It's not about what Rice did, and it shouldn't all be about the fact that it's week one. Some of this stuff we've seen before, and it turns out that it wasn't just rust. It turns out that there was something to it. Got to clean this stuff up. If they don't, I'll tell you right now, if we see more of what we saw today, they're not going bowling. They're not going bowling. Now, do I still think that they are? I do. I still think they could. Absolutely. The talent is there, the strength, the speed, the athleticism, the surface level talent. I feel a little bit better about what happened at linebacker today. Hayden Henry really stepped it up. I was really impressed with him. Bumper pull before getting absolutely ejected. What did he have? 14 tackles, and he still had an entire fourth quarter to go. It reminded me of the Mississippi State game where he apparently broke his ribs and had like 20 tackles. I mean, that's ridiculous. Bryles got his ass chewed by Pittman at halftime. Play calling got better. Play calling was predictable, bland, boring. I say boring from our standpoint because it wasn't productive, but it seemed to me like Rice was there every snap. They knew what was coming, and they weren't surprised at all. You went for it on that, 4th and 2, KJ Jefferson, 4th and 1, 4th and 2. KJ couldn't, there was no push. There was zero push up front from the interior offensive line. You can't push Rice around on a 4th and short or 3rd and short. Doesn't matter. You can't push them. You're not pushing Texas. You're not pushing A&M. You're not pushing the teams that we talked about being within reach for Arkansas to win. You're not pushing them around. I don't like where they're at. The defensive line got better as the game went on. Fourth quarter, crunch time, you started to see them come along. But my God, where were they in the pass rush department for the first 3 quarters? There was some rush. Okay, I'll give you that. There was some time. There were maybe a couple. I don't know how many actual rushes they had in those first 3 quarters. There might have been, again, we were having a lot of technical issues. We did miss some. I'm not going to lie to you. I think we did miss a few plays. But it looked to me like 75% of their snaps on offense, they were not hurried. Their quarterbacks had at least enough time to go through their progressions to make their read and try and deliver a throw. Fortunately, both their quarterbacks are terrible. And I felt like, I've said this before, when you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks, and that was the situation at Rice. Do we win a conference game? I'm not going to repeat what he says. If you clean up your mistakes and KJ play like he did in the second half, yeah, I think so. But he was so bad in the first half. It's like, what do you believe about what you just witnessed? We had a super chat. Let me scroll up. I missed it. I apologize. Get the likes up, y'all, and get this man some super chat. Sloppy Saturday, says Mr. T-Dub. Appreciate that. I know coming off a game like this, I didn't expect this game to go the way that it did when I said 44-17. I was thinking, you got a pretty good lead. You hung up 35 points or something to maybe 35-10, and fourth quarter you start to rotate in your 2s, and then Rice starts to, creep up and maybe score once or twice on your 2s. That's what I thought was going to happen. I am glad, and listen, they were down. There was a little significant gap they had to overcome, and they overcame it. That is important to note. But overall, what would you grade? I want to know from you guys. Tell me. I want to know. Tell me, where would you grade on a scale of 1 to 10 what you saw today? I'm not talking about the cleanup. I don't care about the quality of opponent. I just want to know what you saw from Arkansas. Where would you grade them? I'm curious. I didn't get to see the game. What did Crawford do? I don't know that Crawford even had a stat. 8 wins, no ways is John Wilbanks. No, I mean, not after what we saw today. Now, there is the possibility that, look, and me and my neighbor, Alex, said this. He said, I'm starting to think that we just completely overlooked Rice, and we've been prepping for Texas all offseason. That could be the case. I don't really know. Obviously, nobody knows except Sam Pittman and that staff. But their offensive play calling looked like what we saw a year ago. Although we didn't see any in-around passes from wideouts. We didn't see Treylon Burks try to throw the ball downfield. There were a lot of sloppy starts from a lot of teams. There were. Tulane lost to Oklahoma, 40-35. You had a top 10 North Carolina team lose to an unranked Virginia Tech. I get it, Virginia Tech's P5, but still, it's not like Virginia Tech's been great. North Carolina, I mean, there were people that had them on the outside looking in going into the playoffs at the end of the year, and they lost. You had several top 25 teams really struggle early on. I mean, they're still – we'll pull up some scores here in just a second. Trey Knox, non-factor as usual. I don't know where he's at. I don't know where Trey Knox is at. Here's what – wow. Nick Yates says 4. Anthony White on the ABCD scale gave him a C. That's where I'd be. C minus is what I told Alex. Chris Nolan says 3. Matt Stacy says 3. Anthony White 4. Hunter Iflin 3. Gainham Cassis 5. Kevin Sanders a 5. Tyler Owens 6. That's the highest so far. Go Hogs for Life 5. I love the decimal. I love the 0.5. That's a good one. Common Sense Homestead 4.5. Cody Phillips a 6. Dragon of the Mist sounds like a Amazon movie. Amazon Prime movie. Dragons of the Mist. He has them at a C minus. Some fans were begging Hornsby to come in the first half. KJ needs to work on the slants. KJ needs work, period. And what's crazy, you go back to the red-white scrimmage that was televised on SEC Network. Go back to the second scrimmage, not as clean as the last scrimmage. Go back to the Mizzou game. He looks so much better than what we saw today. I really don't know. I don't know what the hell happened today. I don't. Elijah Page is 6. Perry Arrington. Sorry, I do need my glasses. Someone told me I need my glasses last Monday. I need them right now. Being outside for that long, it's like everything's glossy. Tyler Owen need lots of work, he says. Ryan gives him a 4. Azazian says 5.5. I think I'm in between a 5. That's where I'm at. I'm about a 5.5. Because they did clean it up in the second half, and they did overcome adversity despite not having starters. Despite losing, they lost an offensive lineman. Who was it? Who did they lose? They lose Stromberg. Is he the one that went out, or was it? It was Ty Clary, wasn't it? I think it was Ty Clary that went out. But you lost some pretty key pieces. You lost one on your offensive line, then 2 guys off your defense. They did overcome adversity, and I'm going to give them that. They did bounce back and take the game over, but I can't give them like a 4, but I understand where people are at on a 4. Damn, Adam Ray has them at a 6.5. Adam, I want you to justify that 6.5. I really do. I want to hear why you think. And honestly, anyone who's at a 6, I mean, it's only 0.5 higher than where I'm at. But I told you why I'm at a 5.5. I want to know why some of you are at a 6. I just don't know. Alex Henderson D minus. Hogwood says C plus for offense, B minus for defense. I mean, Michael Stranger says 3. Bloodline says C plus at best. I think we see a lot better product next Saturday, says Nick Yates. I sure as hell hope so. That's going to be tough. Now Texas is playing a much better opponent in Louisiana. I don't know. Last I saw in the second half, I think they were winning like 10-7 or something. So we'll get some score updates here in a second. Hey, Ty, first game down in Fayetteville. Oh, congratulations, man. As a Little Rock fan, the crowd was electric. So do we have an attendance? Do we have an official attendance? Because they said on TV they sold 70,000 tickets. Now we know that's not how many went. The Happy Migrants has 5. Broham Todd's at a 1. Damn, Broham Todd's like, I ain't about this. Tony, I hope you had a good time in Fayetteville, man. Usually, now if this was a blowout, Fayetteville would be unbelievable. Like the whole town would be buzzing. I don't know that they're buzzing after this one. Some of you guys are trying to do like quarter by quarter breakdowns. Arkansas is better than you think. Says first half 3 out of 10, second half 7 out of 10. Overall on offense a C. Okay, we had another super chat, did we not? I thought we had another. Oh, okay. It was T-Dub again. I apologize, Mr. T-Dub. Burke surprised me on how off he was. He had two drops. KJ was Morris level bad in the first half. Play calling was bad in the first half. We will be better next week. You got to be better next week. You got to be better next week if you want that win. Kelly Marie says if you subtract the running backs to include the two, if you subtract the running backs to include the running backs, maybe a 6. I see what you're saying. Okay, I get what you're saying. Appreciate the super chat. Let me scroll down. I'm telling you, this is like trying to keep up with. 64,000 people. 64,000. That's pretty damn good. I told you guys if they were above 55, I'd be happy. Kevin Kelly for OC says William Watkins. I'm going to tell you, I'm skeptical of what we're getting out of Kendall Briles. I'm just going to say it right now. And I know people, I'm going to get he can't throw the football tie. Okay, fair. But the play calling was bland. Rice read the offense like an open book. They did their homework. And it's not all on Kendall. I agree. It's not all, but I thought some of that play calling was absolutely bland. I know William Watkins is a bit of a skeptic of KB, and I see why. I see that side of the argument of them just not being real high on Kendall Briles. 64,000 to go shit the bed. They didn't shit the bed the entire game. At least it got better and something to at least cheer for, right? 60-ish thousand is what they said were in attendance. So I've heard multiple 64, 65s. So you were north of 60. So I think that's damn good. Ty, they came out thinking they already won, then got their then they got slapped. We need to hire Art Briles and put him in the press box. Rocket Sanders should have 15 carries a game. Traylon should get 20. All right, well, speaking of that, let me pull up stats here. For whatever reason, ESPN was not giving us stats. I don't know what the deal is with ESPN, and it's still not. Oh, there it is. Okay, is there a recap? But there's no stats. What, do you got to buy their stats now? What the hell? We got Google. That's what Google's good for. All right, total yards, Arkansas. We don't know how good or bad Rice is this year. We don't know. So you win this game 38-17. You had 373 total yards against their 308. You had 128 passing yards, but you did have 245 rushing yards. You ended up with about just south of 6 yards per play. You had 18 first downs to their 19. Third down efficiency, this is atrocious. 4 of 12. They were worse, 4 of 17. Arkansas was 0 for 1 on fourth down. They were 2 of 3. You ran a grand total of 65 total plays to their 74. Punted the ball 6. They did the same. Where it gets bad. Now, there were 23 total penalties in this game. Like I said, I think these officials were just, I don't know, it felt to me like they were making this game about them. The penalties were just trash. Not all of them, but a lot of them, I think, were either just 50-50 calls or trash. But Arkansas had 13 penalties for 117 yards. They had 10 for 60. 10 for 60 to your 13 for 117. You damn near doubled their total yards on penalties. That's the length of the football field and another 17 yards. That is awful. For anyone who's like, you expect that week one, the hell you do. You don't expect 13 penalties for 117 yards. That argument is bogus. Oh, that's first game. 13 penalties for nearly 120 yards. There's no excuse for that. None. Now, the defense, like we've talked about all offseason, good luck. They force turnovers one way or another. Now, it's not because of the pass rush. I think 2 of the 3 picks were just, either little to no pressure at all. But Catalan, who ends the game with 2 interceptions, and Monteric Brown with a pick. Ladarius Bishop, I think he got burned at least once, and that was one of those ended up for a score kind of early on. It's going to happen. You're going to get beat. The difference is how well you recover. And I think overall he wasn't terrible. Anytime you get beat, that's what everyone's going to focus on. Oh, he's terrible. He was in man coverage. And Ladarius Bishop is fast. He's typically going to be one of the fastest players, if not the fastest player on the field when it's Arkansas's defense and whoever's on offense. He's typically going to be one of the fastest people on the field. For him to get beat in man coverage, a little surprising. We know that was a thing with Hudson Clark. He kind of got beat on a lot of man coverage. Bishop got beat on man coverage. We didn't see – I don't think we saw Clark come in at all. We saw, of course – did we see Slusher? Did he play? I didn't see Slusher. I don't think that he played. No, we don't have individual numbers here. I don't see, or at least not on defense. Let's go over what they did on offense with their personnel. Wiley Green, 12 of 25, 152 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 picks. Luke McCaffrey, who's more of their dual threat guy, threw for 50%, 5 of 10 for 75 yards. I didn't get their quarterback swapping. I really didn't. There were times when it was like, okay, Green looks like he's got some control of this offense, and they bring McCaffrey out, and he misses an easy quick throw or makes a bad read, and then they keep him out for another drive, and then they put Green in. I don't know what the hell they were doing with their – and we knew they were going to do that, but I thought it would be just for certain packages, kind of like what we've been told about Malik Hornsby. By the way, why the hell didn't we see Malik Hornsby? Like, why didn't we see him on at least a drive? I don't understand that. Kalon Griffin had 13 carries, 35 yards. Jordan Myers, I told you we were going to see him, 10 carries, 23 yards, and he had their was it their only rushing? For some reason, only rushing touchdown. Ari Broussard, I think he went down with an injury, 6 carries, 19 yards. So receiving, Petrie or August Petrie III, 4 catches, 97 yards. Jake Bailey, 4 for 47. Brad Rosner, guy we talked about. If you read anything about what Rice has got going for him, you talked about Brad Rosner. He had a grand total of 2 catches for 30 yards. Cedric Patterson, who that's the New Mexico transfer, 1 catch for 15 yards. Jaeger Bull, 2 catches for 14 yards. Jordan Myers, 2 catches for 11 yards. Going to Arkansas, KJ just didn't have it. 12 of 21, 128 yards, at least not throwing. He didn't have it throwing. 128 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. That interception, that was the most freshman thing. I mean, you throw that ball out of bounds. I mean, that corner is in the vicinity of that receiver. You had to have seen that. Why you cocked your arm back and threw that, I get that he was under pressure. You have to make better decisions. And I think that's his only pick. That's his only pick since starting as of 2020. That's his only interception. He's fumbled the ball, and now he's thrown a pick. He fumbled last year. Was that last year that he fumbled? Yeah, it was. He came in when I think Franks went out and he fumbled the ball. So he's got to be a better decision maker. And look, he also didn't drop the balls. I think I counted 3 drops. That does not help. We'd be talking about, 15 of 21 for however many yards instead of 12 of 21. It's a little better. Traylon Smith, 22 carries, 102 yards. He averaged almost 5 yards a carry with a touchdown. KJ on the ground was good, no doubt about it. 9 carries, 89 yards. He averaged nearly a first down every time he ran. Just on average, he ran for about 10 yards a carry for 2 touchdowns. Raheem Sanders, who I really thought we were going to see a little bit more of, but he had 7 carries, 44 yards. That's 6.3 yards per carry. Dominic Johnson, who scored late in the game, 4 carries, 16 yards. Treylon Burks did have technically a carry, apparently, for -2. Burks had 5 catches, 42 yards. Tyson Morris, 3 catches, 42 yards and a touchdown. Katron Jackson, only catch was for 16 yards, the true freshman. Devion Warren, 2 for 14. Blake Kern, 1 for 14. Kick returns, Bishop, who did fumble the ball, by the way, 4 returns, 108 yards. Listen, that is 27 yards of kick return. You can't be mad about that. You can't be mad because I think last year they were like 23 yards of return. You're going to take 27 yards of return. You're going to take that. It's not great. It's not phenomenal, but you're going to take 27 yards of return. Got to hang on to that ball. Gregory Brooks had 1 punt return for 4 yards. Cam Little was 1 for 1 for 34-yarder. Reed Bauer punted the ball 5 times, 190 yards, 38 yards of punt. It says he didn't register inside the 20, but he did. I thought he had 2 inside the 20 punts. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know he had 1 down inside the 15. So. Oh, chat is exploding. If you guys want me to read your comment, super chat will take priority. This is kind of hard to keep up with. Ty, does it worry you that Rice had moments of strong throwing success against our secondary? No, because one of those was just Bishop learning the role. We got to remember, Bishop's never started. This is his first time in his career that I believe he's ever started. Overall was a damn good corner, I thought. Most of the game, I thought he played pretty well. Not the entire game. Monteric Brown had a pick. He's like white on rice. Monteric Brown rarely gives up big plays. I'm not that, no. And you had 3 picks. I would say your secondary was a strength. I had someone lecturing me in comment section a couple of weeks ago about how elite this defensive line was. I want to know, Are we ever going to see this defensive line just take a game over? I mean, this was Rice, okay? It's not your easiest opponent, but it's one of your bottom 4 opponents that you play this year, and there was no constant pass rush. How many sacks did you end up with today? 1? I mean, I had this guy just lecturing me in comment section about how elite this defensive line was going to be this year. Now, I understand they didn't have Ridgeway. I get that. But you had everyone else. Subtract Ridgeway. You're going to tell me Ridgeway's that big of a difference maker? Maybe he is. Maybe Ridgeway is that big of a difference maker. But if that's the case, I'm still pretty damn concerned about what I saw from the pass rush. Now, run defense to me looked pretty decent. They gave up some chunks of yards there in the third, fourth quarter, and even in the first half at times. They gave up some chunks of yardage here and there. I get that. But they did, I think, overall, defensive line, they looked similar to the first 5 games of the year on against the run. I really don't think we were up for this game in the first half. I don't think they got off the – I don't think they came out of the I don't think they came out of the locker room. I don't think the offense did in the first half. I think they were still in the locker room. In fact, our D-line got handled for the most part, especially in the passing game. The passing game, absolutely. Where's this elite pass rush? Where's it at? Are you ever going to be able to depend on this defensive line to just absolutely take a game over? And I don't mean like you win the game simply because of your defensive line. I mean change the momentum entirely because your defensive line steps up and plays a game of football at the SEC level like it's to be expected. Now, maybe they're shying away. Maybe it was all rust. I want to see what they do against Texas. I wasn't impressed today. Against the run, not terrible. Against the pass, on trying to get to the quarterback, they hurried him as the game went on. Later in the game, they started to get a little bit more pressure. They did pop him a couple times in the first half. Okay, but that's expected. I want to see them absolutely take a game over. I want to read down that stat sheet and hear about how we had 4 or 5 sacks, 6 or 7 tackles for loss, completely stopped the run game, completely disrupted their pass attack. We didn't see that very much at all last year unless the secondary just absolutely clamped people down. I'm not saying it didn't happen at all, but you go on throughout the rest of that season, your pass rush was completely non-existent. I want to see that change, and now you're not rushing 3. Now you don't have just a 3 front. Now you're bringing 4, and you feel confident enough that you can bring a 5th because of how much better your secondary is. Odom's going to have to dial up some pretty aggressive blitz packages in order to get some pressure on these quarterbacks. And that sacrifices your corners, or your secondary. That sacrifices what your DBs. Now you're putting more on their shoulders because you can't rely on your front four to get pressure, consistent pressure, change the pace and momentum of a game. You can't expect that from your defensive line right now. Couldn't do it against Rice. I don't know. Do you think they can do it against Texas? Because right now I'm not so confident. I'm not saying it's impossible. I just don't feel – I'm not super confident about what they're doing up front on the defensive line. This is where that skepticism comes from. I said this in Mark Rogers' show. And again, I had people in my DMs. I had someone in my you're unrealistic pessimism. Bullshit. Tell me what they did. Tell me what you saw last year, and tell me what you saw happen today. I hope they get better. I hope my skepticism is unfounded. But right now, it looks. I don't know. Plenty of proof on my side that I don't know that our pass rush is going to be much better. Now, maybe they're hiding blitz packages. Maybe they weren't as confident. Maybe they just wanted to see what these guys could do up front. I don't know. But when the defense was on their heels, when you needed this pass rush to step up, when you needed some big time disruption from the defensive line, it was nowhere to be found. So lecture me on that, please. I give the defense B-. The defense overall, great. It's the only reason why I'd give them a 5.5. The defense and their recovery in the second half from the offense is why I'm in that 5 and 5.5 range. Beyond that, I can't do much better because of how bad they were in the first half. Texas in the third quarter, 14-6. Okay. KJ Jefferson looked good running the ball. He had a 60-yard run that was called back. Throwing wise, he looked mostly awful. Yeah, their passing game, they got to get that polished. Morgan hit was clean. Bumper lowered the helmet. It could cost us against Texas. Yeah, I thought that Morgan hit was. I don't know what else what else do you want him to do? What else do you want him to do? I really don't know. Texas 21-6. Okay. Boy, we got a lot of work to do this week. They got a lot of cleaning up. If we see another 8, 9, 10 penalties for 100 yards, it's going to be a long day. If your offense doesn't get what they did wrong early in this game cleaned up, it could be ugly against Texas. Really could. Could Morgan ejection have caused them to back off on the pass rush? Well, I mean, I'm asking the front four. I'm asking you to not have to deal with blitzing your linebackers because you can't get pressure from your front four. I'm asking that maybe we let these guys, if they're in man cover, then you let him cover his guy. If you're back in zone, you let him cover his spot on the field. Sure, maybe it played a role, but there was still like do you feel confident? Here's the question. Do you feel confident that this defensive line can take a game over? Do you feel confident in that right now based on what we know from a year ago and based on what we saw today, which is what I'm going off of? I don't. I really don't. Our defense is way better than Oklahoma. Or Tulane might just be that good on offense. That was I watched part of that game. I mean, they were slicing Oklahoma up, especially in the first quarter. Andre Robinson says, let me guess, you were perfect. You're talking about someone who played in high school. We're talking about Power 5 football. You're talking about an SEC program, comparing that to a guy that played in high school. Not asking for perfection, Andre. Not asking for perfection. I'm just asking for not seeing that again, what we saw in the first 3 quarters. That's what I'm asking for. Texas is a huge factor on what we see this year. Refs need to stop being haters. The officials were just, I'm sorry, man. 23 penalties total, 23 times the flag was thrown. That's unbelievable. Our defense is better. We need a dual running back system. 15 or more carries for Rocket and Traylon. I really want to see more more Rocket. That's what I want to see. Tyson Morris played well. He bailed out. There was a throw by KJ. I think really it was a good ball considering it was where only Tyson Morris could come down with it. Was it a great throw? No, but he still put that ball where Tyson Morris could come down with it. Again, you can't throw the ball behind players like he did. You can't overthrow them like he did. I was more frustrated with how many times Rice players got injured. You're going to see a lot of that this year. You're going to see a lot of that. They're going to do everything they can to slow down that high tempo, especially the way Kendall Briles, I mean, he's super fast. The way he wants to run that offense. You're going to see a lot of that from defenses. I'm sorry if I'm not getting to all your comments. There are a ton of comments. Until KJ gets better at throwing and accuracy, we should focus more on the run game. We have two very good backs. I mean, you're going to have to throw the ball, though, out at Bloodline. You're going to have to throw it, especially with who you have on your schedule. You're going to have to be able to open things up and throw the ball. I don't know why we didn't see more vertical routes, but then again, maybe because they didn't think they could throw them. Maybe they didn't have confidence, which is so bizarre given what we saw in spring, given what we saw against Missouri. But like I said, maybe last year was more of a cover-up. Maybe COVID covered up more deficiencies from teams. I don't know. Maybe, again, last year, and I repeated this so many times, I really don't know how much we can take from a year ago, even though that's where I got my record from. I leaned too heavily on, the product on the field was so much better a year ago. And I still think it was. At the end of the day, it certainly was so much better than the Chad Morris era. And beyond that, could have won 6 games. You were in position to win 6 games. You led Georgia at half. Of course, that was game 1. Could have been Georgia, doing the same thing that happened. And maybe that's what's going on, because if you look at across all of college football, everyone is struggling against opponents you would think they'd blow out by 30 points. Right? Everyone is struggling. A lot of these predictions were just smashed. I mean, the officials are only as good as their microphone. They were not very good at that today, were they? Arkansas is like a Conference USA football team playing in the SEC, says the happy migrant. 160 watches, 64 likes. Liking the video really helps boost PTN content. Suplex the like button. Super chats too. I appreciate that, Mr. TW. Let's get the likes. Let's get the likes. Drop the people's the people's elbow on the like button. Oh, Ty, notice how some programs never look quote unquote rusty early in the season. Is that on the OC? KB, in your opinion? That's tough to answer, because I don't know the ins and outs of those teams. Obviously, I don't know, what's the score of Alabama? I mean, are they blowing Miami up yet? Maybe they're not. I don't know. It looked like it might actually be a close game there last time I looked at the score. There's just some teams that I don't know. I don't know if that's on preparation. There's so many things we could look back on and go, okay, maybe they let up off practice too soon in fall camp. Maybe they didn't tackle enough. Maybe they didn't let KJ go live, or Treylon Burks go live enough. Maybe we didn't allow him to get tackled enough, and that's why he had all these drops. Maybe they just simply overlooked their opponent. Like it looks like a lot of teams, including teams in the top 25, it looks like that's exactly what they did. They absolutely overlooked teams. Maybe that was a symptom or a part of the symptom. I don't know. I really don't have an answer for you. I don't know if this was preparation. Maybe it was. I don't know if this was just all nerves. KJ never looked settled in the first half. It didn't seem like he was confident until the second half. Boy, I hated that they scrubbed that. What was it, 68-yard run? Oh, my gosh. When was the last time a Razorback quarterback did that? I hated that got washed. First game for Alabama, quarterback lighting it up. Bill O'Brien calling plays for them now. Bama hardly ever struggles out the gate, but that's Bama, right? A lot of teams I thought were a lot better. North Carolina dropping to Virginia Tech. I didn't see that happening. I I didn't see them losing to Virginia Tech. I mean, I know Virginia Tech's not Rice, but like I said earlier, Virginia Tech's not been a powerhouse. North Carolina is a top 10 program, and they dropped, and I get it too. It was on the road. Much better opponent. Chris Nolan, Trey Biddy Walk and Talk. What is the best? Well, then go watch that, Chris. Hogs are second half team, and it shows, and that seemed to be the case a year ago. I usually don't go all in on backup quarterbacks, but I can't wait to see Hornsby. He's the highest rated quarterback we've ever had. No, it's not true. It's not true. Mitch Mustaine was a five-star pocket passing quarterback. In fact, I think you've had several since then. Tyler Wilson was a highly rated 4-star. Nah, it's good here too. Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Reading that from my position, I thought that was a slap to the face. But thank you. Colorado State lost to South Dakota State. Hogs lost to Colorado State. So USC plays San Jose State today. Actually, they're playing right now, right? So hang on. Let's pull up some scores here. Let's get into some of these scores. Okay, no. Alabama's oh my God. 41-13. Who was it that made the pick that Miami was going to beat Bama by like 2 scores? Who made that prediction? Holy cow. Oklahoma and Tulane. 40-35. I'm going to tell you guys, though, I hate ESPN. I hate this site. So you're looking at the scoreboard right now, Cincinnati, who's top 10 in the country, they're on top of Miami, Ohio, 42-6. Iowa was close with Indiana, I think, pretty early on, but it's 34-6. Iowa State is struggling. Who's that? Northern Iowa? They're struggling. Third quarter, it's 13-10. Number 7, Iowa State. USC at half is only up on San Jose State, 13-0. Texas 21-6 right now in the third against the top 25 Louisiana Lafayette. Or do they want to be called Lafayette anymore? I don't know. I thought they don't want to be called Lafayette anymore. So you look at some of these scores. Oregon struggled with Fresno State. They won that one 31-24. They scored less points than we did. I thought there were some more games here I was going to look for. But those are your top 25 scores at the moment. Am I leaving anybody out? Oklahoma, like I said, beat Tulane 40-35. Penn State, Wisconsin's a good defensive game right now. Looks like, is it over? 16-10. Penn State on top of Wisconsin. That's an upset. Well, I mean, Penn State's like, what, 20th? ESPN has them 19th. You got Georgia-Clemson going on here soon. That's going to be a fun one to watch. Florida plays Florida Atlantic. Do they get off to a slow start against FAU? Texas A&M plays Kent State. Washington plays Montana. That ought to be LSU, UCLA. UCLA has already played a game. They're 1-0. Ohio State struggled against Minnesota, 45-31. Now, Minnesota, better team than Utah. Beat Weber State, 40-17. Arizona State beat Southern Utah, 41-14. Again, you had Virginia Tech on top of North Carolina. North Carolina, again, top 10 in the country. They won that one. Virginia Tech did, 17-10. So, I mean, there are some games around the country that got off to a really slow start. You need to do a collab with Trey Biddy. I probably swear too much. Mississippi State is losing to Louisiana Tech. Oh, my gosh. Are they? Oh, let's scroll up and look. Let's look around the conference really quick. Yeah. What was it, fourth quarter? 21-14, Louisiana Tech. Central Michigan was beating Missouri, but now it's 24-14 Missouri going into I think they're going into the fourth. Kentucky got off to a slow start against Monroe, but they ended up taking that one 45-10. South Carolina versus Eastern Illinois. Eastern Illinois is already 0-1. So Vanderbilt plays Eastern Tennessee State, and then again, Tennessee got off to a really slow start against Bowling Green. They did end up winning that one by 32, but that was a slow start. And Ole Miss going to play Louisville. They're going to have to go without Hugh Freeze. I don't know if you guys saw that or not, but Hugh Freeze tested positive for COVID. LSU beats UCLA, says LC. I'm not commenting. I'm not commenting on that. I want them to lose. I want UCLA to whoop that ass. No, Mint Trey Biddy will have some good points for the fans too. Yeah, Trey does good. Walk and talks good stuff. All right, we're coming up on the hour. I do appreciate you guys. I don't know if you guys hear that or not. My kids in the other room are, I don't know what they're doing, but it sounds like they're bouncing marbles off the floor. Kiffin tested positive as well. Yeah, no, it's what I said. Is he tested positive for COVID. Hugh Freeze is at. Did I say Hugh Freeze? Is that what I said? Did I say Hugh Freeze? I apologize. I meant Lane Kiffin. 24-14 Louisiana Tech. Yeah, so I don't know what to think about Mississippi State. I don't know. I see why people pick them so bad. Let me say this. Right now, you kind of see why 247 picked KJ last. I still don't think that's right. But KJ, it's up to him to prove everybody wrong. I'll just say that. It's up to him to prove everybody wrong because that was not a good look today. 247 looked pretty spot on right now. It's up to him to prove them wrong. I mean, there were times in that second half where I was like, all right, is it time we see Malik Hornsby? Or at least bring him in on a package. What do we do here? What is happening? Why do they look so bad? Did someone not do their homework? I get they only had 5 games. I did say Hugh Freeze, didn't I? I meant to say Lane Kiffin if I did. Hugh Freeze is probably still – Hugh Freeze is killing it at Liberty. Greetings from Bobby Hopper Tunnel. Hey, what's up, Brooks Jones? Hope you're enjoying. Louisiana touchdown. Oh, no. Did they score? All right. You guys go enjoy some football. I'm going to try and catch that Clemson. It's going to be a good game tonight. I also want to watch LSU UCLA. Chris Smith just busted one open for 25 yards against Texas. Oh, here we go. We got a game. Seriously, why didn't Hornsby get a shot? I don't know. I really don't know why we didn't see him. All right, so Monday, I know some of you are going to get a 3-day weekend. I will be here, 11 a.m. Dragon of the Misses for me, seeing KJ's lack of progression on ball placement is a reminder of how special Mahomes' accuracy is as a bona fide runner. That's not fair. Nobody should compare KJ to – come on now. Come on. You've got a cool name. Let's not go out – I mean, that you're talking about a solidified NFL quarterback. We can't just throw KJ like this for Malik. I do not want this to turn into a revolving door like Ben Hicks, Nick Starkel. But eventually, Tony, if we don't see improvement from KJ, whether it's just a overall offensive production thing or something, you're going to have to try Malik Hornsby. I get what you're saying. I made that comment before fall camp. We can't have a revolving door. KJ is your experienced guy. He's your captain on offense. He's one of the captains. He has the most experience. He knows the playbook. He has starting experience in this offense. I didn't say bench him. I never said bench him. I said I would like to see him in a package. I would like to have seen him in supposedly they have a couple of plays built just for him. I would like to see Malik Hornsby. I would like to have seen that, especially when KJ was struggling. I'm not saying bench him and just put in Hornsby. Now, I did mention to Alex, my neighbor, I said, if this doesn't improve, we might just see Malik Hornsby, and maybe we should, just to see if he offers something different to the offense. You don't ever not change out a quarterback. I mean, that's crazy. If your quarterback's not getting the production, the offense isn't moving like you want it to. Again, I agree, too. Some of that was on Kendall Briles. Some of his play calling, very bland, but very predictable. But the RPO wasn't as effective as it should have been. KJ's throws were so far off. I mean, he was just not dialed in with the rest of his receivers. Eventually, had that not improved, I think you would have seen Malik Hornsby. And again, if that happens again, I think that's going to happen. I think you're going to see Hornsby come in at some point. If he doesn't get that turned around. Now, again, Hopefully this is all week one. We put it behind us. It was just BS. It was all the rust and all that stuff. Hopefully that's what it is. I'm already sensing someone's already, Ty, I can read into the future. Someone's going to come back and watch this and say, Ty, calm down. It's game one. Okay, fine. I hope you're right. But I don't know. Quarterback and defensive line were my two biggest question marks coming into the season. Going to have to get that improved. Got a lot of cleaning up to do. The good news is we've seen KJ move this offense. We've seen what he's capable of doing in the run game. He's got a good arm as far as his throwing mechanics. He can throw the deep ball. We know he's in sync with Burks. I don't think Burks was 100%, and I think that slowed the offense down too. Like the penalties, all the mistakes these guys made on both sides of the ball, but also on offense, really hampered the offense. But eventually, I mean, if you don't get it fixed, you're going to have to make the switch. I mean, that's just all there is to it. All right. Okay. You guys go enjoy the rest of the games. Thank you guys for being here. Remember to like, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the like button. Share the content. I'll see you guys on Monday. I hope those of you who can't enjoy the 3-day weekend, if you got to work on Monday, hopefully you're able to catch the video one way or another. Anyways, don't apologize for being late or missing live streams. You guys don't ever have to apologize for that. We all have lives, but I do appreciate you guys for being here. And for all you who you support me. However, Patreon, the donations through PayPal have been incredible this week. Shout out to the sponsor, Direct Service Overhead. Really appreciate those guys. But we will see you again on Monday. Remember, subscribe, share the content. Check out all the links down below in the description box. Until Monday, woo pig suey, go Hawks.